In the 10th century, the Kievan Rus existed as a loose federation of Viking and Slavic tribes. To maintain control, Kiev's rulers relied on the poliudi, an annual circuit where the prince traveled directly to each territory to extract tribute through intimidation. This system created deep resentment among the Drevlians, a neighboring tribe located in the forests northwest of Kiev. In this geopolitical reality, survival depended on the projection of absolute strength. Any sign of hesitation invited immediate rebellion. In 945, Prince Igor of Kiev made a fatal miscalculation. After collecting his standard tribute from the Drevlians, he sent his main army home and turned back to demand a second, unprompted payment. The Drevlians ambushed his reduced force in the forest, executing Igor on the spot. His death left Kiev with a 3-year-old heir named Sviatoslav and a vulnerable widow regent, Princess Olga. The Drevlians moved to seize the Kievan throne immediately. They sent 20 ambassadors to demand that Olga marry Prince Mal, the leader of the tribe that had just killed her husband. For a widowed regent in the 10th century, standard outcomes included capitulation, exile, or assassination. Olga's response would deviate from all three. Olga faced a severe strategic deficit. She needed to eliminate the Drevlian leadership and their military, but she lacked the time to raise a massive army. She began with the 20 ambassadors. Olga feigned compliance, inviting them to be carried into her courtyard in their boat as a sign of honor. Once they reached the center of the court, her guards dropped them into a trench and buried them alive. She then sent word to the Drevlians, requesting their highest-ranking lords travel to Kiev to escort her for the marriage. When this elite ruling class arrived, she invited them to wash in a bathhouse, locked the doors, and set the building on fire. For phase 3, she traveled to her husband's grave for a funeral feast. She provided massive quantities of mead to the Drevlian soldiers. Once they were incapacitated, her retinue killed 5,000 of them, neutralizing their military force. Finally, Olga laid siege to the Drevlian capital of Iskarestan. She offered a deal. She would lift the siege in exchange for 3 pigeons and 3 sparrows from each household. After collecting them, her soldiers tied sulfur-soaked cloth to their legs and released them. The birds flew back to their nests, burning the city to the ground. This 4-part escalation functioned as psychological warfare. By the time Iskarestan fell, she had broadcast her absolute authority across the Rus. Having secured her position, Olga addressed the structural flaw that had killed her husband. Roving extortion circuits were inherently unstable. She established the Pogosti, a network of fixed trading posts with standardized, uniform tax rates. This replaced the looping tribute paths with a stationary administrative system. These reforms centralized state power, transitioning the Kievan Rus from a collection of tribal territories into a structured, self-sustaining state. Domestic control was only half the battle. Kievan Rus still faced external threats, leading Olga to seek an alliance with the Byzantine Empire. This photograph shows the interior of the Hagia Sophia. In the 950s, Olga traveled to Constantinople to negotiate with the wealthiest and most powerful court in the Mediterranean. This ivory carving depicts Emperor Constantine VII. To court his political favor, Olga agreed to receive baptism in his capital. Following her baptism, the emperor proposed marriage. Accepting would have legally bound Olga to him, placing Kiev under direct Byzantine control. Olga requested that the emperor himself serve as her godfather during the ceremony. Under Christian law, this spiritual kinship made any future marriage between them illegal, forcing the emperor to withdraw his proposal, while Olga kept her crown. She returned home with a superpower alliance and her sovereignty intact, having used the rules of her new faith to check Byzantine ambitions. Olga returned to Kiev a Christian, but her attempt to convert the population met immediate resistance. Her son, the now grown warrior Sviatoslav, refused to abandon his pagan gods, fearing the judgment of his peers. Despite her political control, the cultural shift she envisioned remained unfinished during her lifetime. This illuminated manuscript depicts the baptism of the Rus. While Olga died in 969, her grandson, Vladimir the Great, eventually used her foundation to officially Christianize the empire in 988. This statue in Kiev commemorates her foundational role. In 1547, the Orthodox Church officially canonized her with the title equal to the Apostles. From ritualized vengeance to administrative law, Olga's reign provided the structural stability, allowing the Rus to transition from a tribal network into a centralized state.